चाय पे चर्चा के लिए कराची तक जा सकते हैं, पाया पाने के लिए पेशावर तक जा सकते हैं। 2014 के बाद माहौल इतना बदलने वाले हैं कि अगल बगल में हमेशा शरीफ और मोदी बैठने वाले हैं। What has exactly happened in between? With this search, I am looking towards the initiative of my esteemed friend Rajeev Chandrashekhar ji. Our people, in particular the younger generation, during the sports events and the cultural events, expressing their view and making us to follow what to do and what not to do.
Moved by Rajeev Chandrashekhar, independent member of the Rajya Sabha. He, of course, the crux of his bill is to declare Pakistan a terror state. This is happening amidst the sham of a house arrest that Pakistan is playing right now. Hafiz Saeed has been put under house arrest along with 4 others from the Jamaat-Ud-Dawa. And the MEA, of course, has also come out very, very scathingly saying that only a credible crackdown on individuals like Hafiz Saeed and organizations like the Jamaat-Ud-Dawa and the Falah-e-Insaniyat that Hafiz Saeed heads there. Also the LET on the side, don't forget that. Only a credible crackdown on such individuals and organizations can convince India that Pakistan is acting. Now, Pakistan has all sorts of pressure, all sorts of manner of pressure on them right now with an administration change in the US, talking tough there as well. They've had to put Hafiz Saeed under house arrest. But Rajeev Chandrashekhar, the member who moved the bill, has been talking about it for a very long time and finally has got the chance in the budget session of Parliament to move that particular bill. Discussion on that bill is still on in the Rajya Sabha, the upper house of Parliament, and it moves to declare Pakistan a terror state. It also recommends that the most favored nation status or the MFN status be withdrawn to Pakistan. That would be a trade sanction that could hit Pakistan where it hurts the most. Remember, Pakistan has already withdrawn MFN status to India. India hasn't done the same yet. There has been talk of doing it for a while now, ever since the Modi government came into power. Let's go across now to Madhav Gopalakrishnan, my colleague, joining us right now. And we'll also get some political voices. Madhav, the fact that Rajeev Chandrashekhar has been talking about this bill ever since the past 2 sessions of Parliament, finally getting the chance to move that bill here, and it also avers that Pakistan should not only be declared a terror state, but also the fact that MFN status be withdrawn. And I'm being told Meenakshi Lekhi is joining us as well, BJP MP from Delhi. But Madhav, quickly, your take on what's happening in Parliament right now.
Well, it's the first time that there's a private member's bill on this issue, and as Rajeev Chandrashekhar himself said just now, it's been 1994, a period of a good 23 years since the national parliament has actually gone ahead and passed something of this nature, which not just defines terror, not just defines states that are sponsoring terror, but goes on further to articulate India's position, comparing it and contrasting it with the United States, which just in September of last year has put out a bill in their house, which really defines the role and also specifies the role as far as Pakistan is concerned in terms of what it really feels is Pakistan's role in the spread of terror. Clearly, of course, nothing in either the United States or in India in terms of, this sort of a bill which would define Hafiz Saeed and others as terrorists clearly, and saying that, exhorting that it must be a united effort of Parliament to go ahead and pass this bill. But we do know that as far as private members' bills are concerned, this is something that has last been passed over 4 decades ago. So really the possibility of this going ahead and becoming law is extremely remote.
Absolutely, and there are some political parties that are also urging caution. Mother, stay with us. Major General G.D. Bakshi also joining us on the phone line right now, editor of the IMR. General Bakshi, Rajeev Chandrashekhar moving the bill he's been talking about for a very long time. Some parties urging caution before withdrawing MFN status. Your take on it, as Madhav told us right now, the possibility of a private member's bill being passed, well, it's was slim to none.
I think that would be very tragic. Here is a country that cries from the rooftops about taking action against Pakistani asymmetric adventurism, non-stop terror which has been going on without hindrance or let up for the last 30 years, we go around crying to Uncle Sam, asking Uncle Sam to do this, to do that. And when it comes to you, you're not prepared to take the first step of declaring Pakistan a terrorist state. If you as a victim don't do it, how will the others do it? You see, 7 countries were put on that blacklist by the United States. Pakistan was not in that list. It was just put on the extreme vetting list. Whereas we all know that every terrorist incident that originates, that impacts anywhere on the world has its origins can be traced back to Pakistan. So are you serious? You see, we have a bloody peace lobby in this country which has made a lifetime business out of doing track 2, track 3, and I don't know, track 4 or whatever with Pakistan, sipping free champagne and scotch in exotic locales like Thailand. You see, the fact of the matter is they are very keen to, get over this business of terrorism and get back to talks with Pakistan. The fact is the Pakistani ISI has now switched tracks. It is attacking your railway tracks. 150 Indians were killed in the Kanpur train tragedy caused by sabotage. There is a whole industry which is in denial, trying to say, oh no, that didn't happen. Maybe it is just bad tracks, it is bad railway maintenance. The fact is we found explosives. You want to cover all that because you have suddenly decided, okay, we have done enough. One surgical strike should last us 30 years or 40. I mean, that is stupid. You have to raise costs for Pakistan. You have to hit back.
But General
you
Bakshi,
have to put Pakistan on notice.
General Bakshi, even if
doing that, or if all our parties are going to chicken out, well, I think that doesn't speak very well of them.
General Bakshi, even if hypothetically the bill is passed, and I'm not saying it will be, would you really think that it would effectively change things on the ground? Will it have the effect that we desire if we term Pakistan a terror state by a resolution moved in and passed in parliaments? Is that going to change anything is my question.
Firstly, it will create an impact in terms of public perception regionally, globally. It could induce Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Sri Lanka to follow suit. Don't forget that when you boycotted the foreign affairs meet in SARC in Islamabad, a lot of nations followed. You set the lead. You are the prime victim. You are the prime sufferer. You don't want to do anything. You want a Nobel Peace Prize. But you will want to, ask the United States to do this and do that and, put pressure on the United States, go crying to Uncle Sam like a slapped baby in the kindergarten.
All right.
It is pathetic.
All right. General Bakshi, stay on.
A nation of your size did something on your own.
Stay on, General Bakshi. My colleague Madhav is still with us. Madhav, of course, there are very, very emotional voices as well. Those who believe absolutely that passing such a bill would create the atmosphere, perhaps start the process really of isolating Pakistan regionally even more than we already have. But the fact is, and like you pointed out very clearly, the last private member's bill that was passed in Parliament was perhaps 3 to 4 decades ago. As far as reactions in Parliament are concerned, the very next speaker after Rajeev Chandrashekhar gave a liberal dose really of disbelief and he scoffed really at even the suggestion of the usefulness of moving this bill, passing this bill and declaring Pakistan a terror state.
Well, yes, of course, there might be divergent views within Parliament, and that's exactly the idea of introducing a bill. One doesn't expect everyone to agree with it, but the big question is this, that at a time when, we have a situation where India has been, bled several times, and so many times we've suffered terror strikes, whether we cannot stand up united against Pakistan, particularly against the terror machinery that is state-sponsored over there. What this bill, of course, does is there are a number of stringent provisions from reducing the possibility of not just officials but also all citizens of Pakistan into India, making trade much tougher, making any kind of contact with Pakistan much tougher. Clearly, of course, those kinds of situations may not be acceptable to several citizens, but the point is this, that when we are a country that is suffering at the hands of Pakistan repeatedly and there is no other solution in sight, should this not at least be considered? That's perhaps going to be a perspective that's going to be looked at, and that's exactly what we are seeing independent MP and in fact the Vice Chairman of India in Kerala, Rajeev Chandrashekhar, come out and say through this bill.
Right, stay with us. Speaking of more political voices, Majid Memon joins us of the NCP. He's also a senior lawyer and an MP. Mr. Memon, Rajeev Chandrashekhar has just passed, in fact, moved a bill in the upper house wanting to declare Pakistan a terrorist state. There are views that at least this could be the first step in raising a united voice against the kind of terrorism Pakistan exports, and by naming them a terrorist state, if Parliament names Pakistan a terrorist state, it will have the desired effect. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, the spirit of this movement is laudable, no doubt about it. And because definitely we have been struggling as a country. India has been struggling for quite some time now to succeed in its bid to get such people who have, against whom we have enough evidence of their involvement in terror activities, and the state which either patronizes such terrorism or is backing them or is omitting to take action against them should be considered as a terror state and should be boycotted by the international community. But it's not so easy. As a matter of fact, this is a very strong step that is required to be taken, for which international communities take to be taken into confidence. This is just a small move by moving a bill here, and I have my own doubts whether this bill can be through, because it's a private member bill and it may not get desired support. But the fact that he has moved with such intention deserves to be applauded.
Oh, fair enough. Mr. Memon, what about the fact you mentioned that the international consensus or at least opinion needs to be taken into consideration before moving such a bill, or at least passing such a bill. But what about those voices who say that running off to America, running off to the European Union and other such bodies, or even the UN for that matter, is not going to achieve anything, hasn't really achieved anything for us? So we have to take the lead. If we want to declare Pakistan a terrorist state, want to isolate them, we have to do something first.
Yeah, we certainly have to do it, but at international fora. Now, as it is, we have seen during the last week, last 4 or 5 days, we have seen some movement. After Trump took some very stringent steps against terror when he spoke out his mind, and Pakistan was somehow pressurized that Hafiz Saeed had to be kept in the house arrest for about a week now, and then FIR has also been registered against him. So I think the world community is trying to mount pressure on Pakistan to even otherwise recognize or identify those who are indulging in terrorist activities and particularly promoting terror within our region, because everybody wants peace, and I think Pakistan also should join the line.
But don't you think, sir, since you're lauding this particular intention, at least of Rajeev Chandrashekhar, do you reckon that there will be enough support for this in Parliament? Because if he can't muster up enough support in the Indian Parliament for an emotion really that most of us, all of us feel about Pakistan, then what is the point of this bill?
See, it is difficult for me to say how much support he is going to get, because I have not seen the text of the bill. I have only been told what you are telling me now. So I think I'll examine the contents of the bill, and then we will see that what we can do about it.
Will the NCP support the bill after you have
I cannot make a statement on behalf of NCP because I have yet to consult my leaders.
Fair enough. Stay with us, sir. We also have General Bakshi and Madhav with us. General Bakshi, even though the intent is being lauded, I think across the board, there is still some doubt on whether or not this bill will pass. Do you think, sir, what more can be done, General Bakshi, to make sure this bill passes in Parliament in a unanimous vote?
The fact is, we must put our money where our mouth is. We've been all, every single political party start crying to the high heavens on their patriotic credentials on how they will not tolerate terrorism, and then they proceed to do nothing about it except talk. That is their problem. Except talk with Pakistan, except plead, except send dossiers, except plead to the Pakistani courts to take action against the people that their own state, armed, trained, financed, funded and sent against us. I mean, there has to be a limit to incredulity. There has to be a limit to madness. Einstein said doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results is madness. 30 years we have been trying to prevail upon Pakistan through our peace talks, our goodwill, and our candlelights and our ghazals to stop terror. It hasn't worked a damn.
All right,
Jan Bakshi. It's about time that you have to send a message that, look, we've had enough. We are going to give it back to you every which way that we can.
Jan Bakshi, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. We'll also let our viewers see what exactly Rajeev Chandrashekhar said in Parliament while moving the bill. Take a look.
It is true for also countries that aid and abet terrorism and use terrorism as a misguided tool of their state policy. If they are not brought to account, they will continue to violate all established laws and conduct. So this bill, therefore, sir, is to finally put into motion the process of calling terror sponsors to account. For years of terror sponsorship and for causing losses of innocent lives, not just in India, but in the region around us, in other parts of the region and the world, sir.
Commodore G.J. Singh joins us now. Commodore Singh, Rajeev Chandrashekhar has just moved the bill, a private member's bill, asking Parliament to ratify it and declare Pakistan a terror state. It also mentions withdrawing the MFN status to Pakistan. Your thoughts on it, sir? Do you think it's high time the Parliament ratified it, although it's a private member's bill?
You see, in the context of times today, I think this is a step in the right direction. And I think this kind of a bill should have been introduced long before. But nevertheless, it is a very good step because we have seen all along the past decades that Pakistan has been involved in the terrorist activities across the border. Not only across the border, but their footprints are on different parts of the world. And now the whole scenario in the world is changing, especially with U.S. President Trump at the helm of affairs. It is altogether different, situations are developing every day. We find new developments taking place. And therefore, I think our government, our Rajya Sabha, our Lok Sabha, our parliament should not delay at all.
All right, fair enough. Commodore Singh, stay on with us. KC Tyagi of the JDU also joining us right now. Let's get a political reaction to this. Tyagi ji, private members bill pass hua, move hua hai abhi. Rajeev Chandrashekhar ने कहा है कि MFN status withdraw करा जाए पाकिस्तान से. It should be declared a terror state. आपके क्या विचार हैं इस पे?
ये 26/11 के बाद बहुत साफ रहा. पार्लियामेंट के अटैक के बाद साफ रहा. पठानकोट के अटैक के बाद साफ रहा. 47 से लेके अब तक जो क्रॉस बॉर्डर टेररिज्म है वो पाकिस्तान से आता है. आयातित जो टेररिज्म है, रोज जो घटनाएं होती हैं, जो लोग पकड़े जाते हैं, मारे जाते हैं, उनके सबके पाकिस्तानी लिंक है. और अब तो अमेरिका ने भी और कुवैत ने भी इस तरह की गतिविधियों के लिए पाकिस्तान को जिम्मेदार ठहराया है. तो मैं अपने मित्र राजीव चंद्रशेखर के प्राइवेट मेंबर बिल के साथ हूं और हम लोग चाहते हैं कि पाकिस्तान को टेररिस्ट स्टेट के रूप में डिक्लेयर कर दिया जाए.
तो त्यागी जी, जेडीयू इसका समर्थन करेगी पार्लियामेंट में और बाहर भी?
अब पार्टी में हम लोग बातचीत करेंगे. ये अच्छा सुझाव है और पार्टी 1-2 दिन में प्रस्ताव करके, चूंकि भी तो मूव हुआ है और इस पर बहस होनी बाकी है अभी, लेकिन दिस इज ए गुड प्रपोजल.
All right, KC Tyagi of the JDU saying it's a good proposal, and they of course are with the bill. They've lauded Rajeev Chandrashekhar for moving the bill, and he also says that an official party line will come out 2 days later, perhaps a day later, after party discusses it internally. So some sign of support. Commodore Singh already for the private members bill. The JDU of course has lauded it, saying that it's high time Pakistan was declared a terror state. Do you think other parties will follow?
Yes, why not? Because you see, they should follow it, because we have seen it that the America has declared, like for example, Hafiz Saeed as a terrorist and placed a $10 million, reward on it. But we, being neighbors and most affected by Pakistan terrorist activities, we have not been able to declare them as, have not been put any reward or, on him. So this is something which is very strange when
All right.
it comes to the
All right,
international
Commodore Singh,
politics.
stay on. Some more political reactions coming in. Priyanka Chaturvedi of the Congress Party joining us on the phone line. Priyanka, private members bill moved in Parliament. Rajeev Chandrashekhar is the one who's moved it. He says withdraw MFN status, declare Pakistan a terror state. What's the Congress Party's position on this private members bill?
Well, I would have welcomed it if it was coming from someone from the Bharatiya Janata Party who is in the government and coming in the Lok Sabha rather than being introduced to the Rajya Sabha. And considering that the Prime Minister and all the Defence Minister and various other ministers have taken a hard stance as far as Pakistan is concerned verbally, but where actions are concerned, we have seen them absolutely inconsistent about it. So if they expect when they go to United Nations and address the General Assembly asking for Pakistan to be declared a terrorist state, I would have welcomed it if it was coming from the Bharatiya Janata Party in the Lok Sabha. So this private member bill, as much as Mr. Rajeev Chandrashekhar, with all the goodness of intent that he has brought into it, I would want to know where the Bharatiya Janata Party stands on it.
But what about the fact that there is already a private members bill out there? Is the Congress Party going to support it or not?
The point here is, if it was introduced in the Lok Sabha from the Bharatiya Janata Party, it would have been more than welcome. So this kind of perception management that Mr. Rajeev Chandrashekhar indulges in at most points of time, not even coordinating with perhaps the Bharatiya Janata Party for support, is something that, is done to gather news momentum.
So it's perception management, Priyanka, for the Bharatiya Janata Party, which supports
not
Mr.
for the
Chandrasekhar?
Bharatiya Janata Party. I'm sorry. If it was perception management, it is coming from Mr. Rajeev Chandrashekhar. If he was very serious in his intent, he should have got all the MPs in the Lok Sabha together and introduced a bill like this.
All right.
And I think it should have been coming from the government of the day, not for private member bill.
All right, Priyanka Chaturvedi with her comments there. Thank you for joining us on the story. We move on now to other stories.